To fix the situation. Joining me now, the authors behind the piece, former North Dakota Senator Kent Conrad, and potentially your colleague Portman will be joining us shortly. Senator Conrad, thanks for your time and welcome.
Good to be with you.
I find this very, very curious because I look at the markets today, 462 on the 10-year now, it just keeps spiraling higher. And people seem to be concerned about what's going to be happening with Treasury issuance and deficits that the CBO says are going to be 5 to 7% over the next decade, really. And yet, everything we just heard in these reports out of Washington about the fight, it's about the border. It's almost not about spending at all. And I'm just very struck by that.
Yeah, there's a bit of a fantasy world aspect to all of this, isn't there? I mean, it's such a detachment from reality. What's truly amazing is the Republicans are stuck on just a small part of federal spending. And it's not the part that's causing us the problems. The long-term deficit and debt are from our entitlement programs, Medicare and Social Security. They're not talking about that at all. There's a $6 trillion budget. They're only focusing on $1 trillion of the $6 trillion. They're not dealing with the big problem that we confront, which is the fact that our major entitlements, Medicare and Social Security, are headed for insolvency, according to their trustees, by 2034.
Right. Senator, aren't you a Democrat?
They focus on the big problem.
I thought I was speaking to I'm surprised to hear you shining such a light on this issue.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised. I was deeply involved in these issues, the Bowles-Simpson. The last major effort to take this on, I chaired a commission on retirement security and securing Social Security for the Bipartisan Policy Center. We spent 2 years, 19 members, totally bipartisan. We ended with a unanimous agreement on how to fix Social Security, how to get the country back on track.
Did any of that happen, though? And I want to bring your colleague in a moment. But whatever came of Simpson-Bowles?
So parts of Simpson-Bowles were adopted, but much of it was not, because, again, if you're an elected leader, going back to your home district and saying you've got to reduce spending and raise revenue is not a popular message.
Right.
It's a truthful message, but it's not popular.
So, Senator Portman, I appreciate you joining us as well here. And I like the fact you guys are out of the game now, because maybe you can speak a little more candidly about, as your colleague was just doing, the challenges that we face. We need changes to Social Security, Medicare, probably Medicaid, defense, non-defense discretion. I mean, you look across the board, and it's going to be very, very difficult. And it's hard to see raising revenues enough to close the gap. It's real. I can understand why bond yields are moving higher and markets are a little nervous.
By the way, Kent Conrad was never nervous about talking about this stuff when he was in elected office. And so it doesn't surprise me that he continues to talk about it. But look, it's just common sense. It's unsustainable. The current trajectory is unsustainable, and no one can argue that. What we need is to have a new process to get it out of the political process to a certain extent, to get it into the hands of some experts and people who are willing to do what it takes to find common ground to move this forward. And that's why we like the idea of a commission. We think a bipartisan commission has been successful in the past. Even Simpson-Bowles, as was noted, although the specific proposals weren't taken up at the time, later in the Budget Control Act of 2011, many of those proposals were picked up, and they were some of the things that we used to make some progress at that time on what seemed like an insurmountable deficit and debt. It's worse now.
It is worse now, Senator Portman. So as we watch this, and as we've been talking about this week, one observer said to me, this is not enough of a crisis to force Washington's hand. The S&P is up 11% this year, and the 10-year's not even at 5% yet. So the worry is that what happens if this needs to get a lot worse, right? What happens if the 10-year yield is 7%? What happens if the stock market declines? I mean, it's kind of scary to contemplate.
Yeah, well, even at 5%, it's a problem if you have those kind of yields. You're talking about probably an 8% mortgage. And people are, I think, going to find that to be, very difficult for them to be able to buy a new house or to be able to find a buyer for their house. So I think we're already there. I mean, I think it's already something that the American people are nervous about because they see it in the interest rates, they see it in inflation, both of which relate directly or indirectly to this fiscal crisis that we found ourselves in. So I think we're there already. And I certainly believe that when you look at the trajectory, you look over the next 5 years and 10 years, it is truly going into uncharted territory where the debt becomes more than 100% of our GDP.
And not just that, Senator Conrad, we think about the impact on mortgage rates, obviously 8%, but you can look at a 5% Treasury or higher and also think that means the budget deficit is going to be pushing upwards of 8 to 10%. Half of the deficit CBO is projecting over the next 10 years, between half of the 5 to 7% deficit is just the cost of interest. Without that, we'd be around 3%, which is still high by historical standards. But I don't think people understand just how much what's happening on Wall Street today is going to exacerbate this problem for literally years to come.
Yeah, it's undeniable. You know, and the longer we wait, the more draconian the solutions have to be. That's a mathematical certainty. So I used to say to my colleagues, waiting is not a good option. And it's certainly not a good option in 2023 when, again, the trustees of Medicare and Social Security tell us they're going to be insolvent by 2034. What does that mean? That means everyone who receives Social Security is going to take a 23 to 24% cut. That's what the law provides. So it is so important that we wake up, smell the roses, and deal with this issue.
Yeah. And Senator Portman, I don't think that's going to be politically feasible, honestly. And so if the only choice is to try and raise revenue, how do we do that? Even through the expiration of the Trump tax cuts, the deficit would still be 5.5%.
Well, you have to do three things. One, you need to grow the economy. And this is all related. As we said earlier, you know, to the extent you have this huge fiscal overhang, it's very difficult to have the economy meet its potential. Second, you have to deal with the revenue side. And that's tough for those of us who are on the Republican side. But everybody knows that we've got to figure out a way both to grow the economy and to get revenues up. And then finally, we've got to take a serious look at all spending. You mentioned the fact that with regard to domestic discretionary spending, we've got challenges, but that's relatively flat based on the current projections. The real issue is with regard to the mandatory spending, and it's now 2/3 of the budget. It used to be just 1/3. It's not just the largest part of the budget; it's the fastest growing part by far, and that's where we've got to focus. As difficult as it is politically, we have no choice because these programs are not sustainable in their current form. Kent just talked about the fact that Social Security faces such a shortfall that there'll be actually a 24% cut in benefits, in 2034 or maybe even sooner with the way we're going. So I think there's an urgency to move.
Urgency is right. I nominate Conrad Portman for the new commission. I think you both know this better than anybody. I can't think of anyone better to try to tackle these challenges. Thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for your time, Senator Kent Conrad and Senator Rob Portman.